Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar News, the channel where we dig deeper into the latest developments surrounding the Iraqi dinar, economic reform progress, and ongoing debates about the exchange rate. Today's report is one you do not want to miss, because there is a massive storm of conversation taking place online right now. New statements from Iraq's central bank are sparking heated debates among analysts, so-called dinar gurus, investors, and Iraqi citizens who follow this closely. Some people believe these new announcements signal stability and control over the national currency. Others believe that the statements are actually hints that something bigger could be coming soon, possibly linked to exchange rate reform. As always, we'll break down what was really said, what analysts think it means, and why the debate is more intense now than it has been in many months. There are strong opinions on both sides, and by the end of this video, you'll see clearly why this topic continues grabbing global attention. Stay with us to the end, because each detail matters in understanding the full picture. The conversation began with a top economic discussion about whether Iraq needs to adjust its exchange rate right now. Financial experts in Iraq explained that, based on the size of their foreign currency reserves, inflation levels, and monetary indicators, there is currently no emergency or urgent reason for a rate change. They say the nation is dealing more with financial and budgetary challenges than currency-related ones. This means government spending is too high, and revenues outside of oil are too low. So officials argue that the main struggle is with the overall economy, not the dinar itself. They also argue that changing the rate too quickly could create uncertainty for investors, especially at a time when Iraq is trying to encourage more international business activity. In their view, stability builds trust, and although they acknowledge Iraq technically has the ability to make adjustments, they emphasize that just because a change is possible doesn't mean it is the right action at the moment. This position has frustrated many speculators, who continue hoping for rapid movement upward in the value of the dinar. Another major argument from economists is that any exchange rate change should be part of a complete reform package, not a quick standalone move. That means if the central bank were to consider a stronger dinar, it would need to happen alongside improvements in banking infrastructure, private sector growth, and better cooperation between financial and government policies. Without a clear and unified plan, experts believe altering the value would only bring confusion and instability. This perspective clashes strongly with people online who insist that Iraq could change the rate instantly. Supporters of reform say patience is necessary because they want Iraq to grow on a solid foundation, not temporary excitement. Meanwhile, the public reaction has been divided. Some citizens agree stability is important after years of financial struggle. Others believe the dinar is undervalued and Iraq deserves stronger purchasing power today. But for now, officials keep repeating their stance: no change until reforms align properly. However, popular voices in dinar communities online have pushed back. Some gurus say the timing of official statements feels strategic. For example, one well-known social media personality recently said that December looked hopeful, but now the focus is shifting toward January. They often remind followers that only the central bank truly knows the timing of any major monetary adjustment. These discussions tend to create excitement and speculation, particularly when they include phrases such as "it could happen at any time." But behind all the hype, little factual information has been released publicly. It is important for viewers to recognize the difference between confirmed policy and rumor-based prediction. Still, the debate continues because every official sentence is being carefully analyzed for hidden meaning. Other commentators argue that Iraq cannot fully move forward with major banking reform until there is a change in the exchange rate. They believe new financial systems and international integrations require a stronger and more globally accepted dinar first. According to this interpretation, delays in rate adjustments could slow down Iraq's progress in joining modern international banking networks. They see exchange rate reform not as the final step, but as the essential first step. Yet, economists in Iraq continue saying the opposite, insisting that proper structural reforms must happen before any adjustment to the value of the dinar. This disagreement keeps the controversy alive, With passionate supporters on both sides, some personalities make the conversation more personal by mentioning how much currency they hold. They argue that removing zeros from the currency or making other structural changes could hurt people who already invested in large notes. They express concern that changes might not match the expectations many speculators have held for over a decade. These emotional reactions reflect how deeply people hope for a positive revaluation, especially those who purchase dinar believing it could one day become worth far more. But again, officially, Iraq has never guaranteed such an outcome. Hopes and reality frequently collide in this complex conversation. Another voice in the community pointed out that the current type of financial messaging from Iraq resembles the communication style seen in other nations before major currency adjustments. They cite historical events such as Kuwait's rate change as examples where media would release stabilizing messages shortly before making a shift. These comparisons bring excitement to believers who think history may repeat itself, but financial scholars warn that every country's situation is unique and assumptions-based on past events do not always match future outcomes. Iraq's economic path depends on its own present circumstances and decisions, yet there are also more careful analysts who highlight that when Iraq's central bank sits, there is no plan to change the exchange rate at present. The keywords are at present. This phrase has caused endless speculation because people interpret it as a temporary denial rather than a permanent one. Jurists love pointing to historical quotes from previous central bank governor who used similar wording shortly before making relatively small changes. They believe these repeated phrases are signals that last-minute preparations may be underway, but officials argue these interpretations are exaggerated. They insist such wording is normal diplomatic language and should not be read as a secret code. Still, this debate shows why communication from large financial institutions will always attract speculation. Every small phrase can be seen as a clue. Part of the excitement comes from Iraq's growing financial strength. Their gold reserves have reportedly increased significantly, and that growth boosts confidence in currency stability. When a country accumulates more gold and diversifies its international assets, it builds stronger support behind its monetary system. Supporters believe this is a sign Iraq is positioning itself for a more internationally respected currency. Critics say strong reserves are only one piece of a complex puzzle, and much more transformation is needed before a breakthrough moment arrives. Some social media influencers claim the central bank is required to publicly deny any upcoming policy change to protect the integrity of the reform process. They argue that transparency is limited during sensitive economic phases because major investors could take unfair advantage. So, according to these voices, any official denial might actually be part of a plan to prevent speculation and manipulation while changes are prepared. Quietly, they encourage followers to stay confident and patient, warning that the central bank would never announce such a move in advance. This type of messaging boosts hope among speculative investors, but again remains opinion rather than confirmed policy. There are also community leaders who stress the importance of being smart and strong when reading public statements. They advise not to take official language literally, arguing that real information can only be seen by watching actions, not words. They highlight that central banks around the world traditionally maintain secrecy and caution around monetary policy. Because of this, they predict that when the central bank finally chooses to act, it will do so suddenly, without long warning. Their audience finds this exciting, though others find it overly optimistic without concrete proof. More traditional news commentary recently highlighted that Iraq's central bank has firmly stated there is no intention to amend the exchange rate. They want everyone to understand that this message means exactly what it sounds like: no planned devaluation and no planned revaluation. They emphasize that financial messaging must be taken seriously to avoid misleading the public. They urge people not to jump to conclusions or assume hidden meanings. Their message is clear: Iraq is staying the course on its current monetary path unless future economic conditions require reconsideration. This creates a stabilizing influence on public expectations, even if it frustrates those dreaming of a big rate change. This clash of interpretations reflects why the Iraqi dinar continues to capture the imagination of so many people. On one side, officials focus on slow, controlled progress focused on strengthening institutions and fiscal responsibility. On the other side, hopeful speculators focus on the potential they believe Iraq holds as an energy-rich nation emerging from decades of conflict. These dreams of rapid uplift and economic transformation keep investment excitement alive. Even when official statements seem to say not now, the challenge for viewers is separating speculation from documented policy. It can feel disappointing when reality appears slower than expectation, but understanding genuine financial reform takes patience and careful listening. Iraq is building a modern economy in a constantly changing region with high political pressure. Each decision is measured not only by current needs, but also by future risks. Currency decisions are among the most delicate tools a country can use because one wrong move can damage years of progress. Therefore, Iraq's leaders take a cautious approach. As we watch Iraq push forward on many development projects, from banking modernization to international partnerships, it becomes more clear why officials emphasize stability. Stability can attract investment, increase consumer confidence, and help Iraq diversify beyond oil. These are long-term goals that benefit the nation's entire population. So even if exchange rate news slows, reform continues behind the scene in important ways that build economic strength step by step. But there is no denying that thousands of followers around the world are still waiting, believing one day the dinar will change in a major way. Their belief is fueled by years of trends, political changes, and growing financial reserves. They feel time is getting closer. Because Iraq is no longer a country in crisis like it once was, they believe progress must eventually lead to a stronger currency. Hope is powerful, and it keeps the conversation alive. Meanwhile, economists urge patience and careful thought. They remind everyone that major change does not always happen when the public wants it to. It happens when the timing is right for the economy, for the government budget, and for Iraq's position in the global financial system. And importantly, any policy that affects the value of the dinar must benefit Iraqi citizens first, not foreign speculators. This dynamic creates tension between expectation and reality. Every new central bank statement becomes fuel for debate. Supporters of change claim the wording hides deeper meaning. Critics argue there is nothing hidden at all. Both sides watch the same situation, but through different lenses. That is the power and the confusion of currency speculation. So what should viewers take from all of this? The most truthful and responsible conclusion is simple. The central bank has clearly said there is no exchange rate change planned right now. That is the current official stance. Anything beyond that remains opinion, prediction, and speculation. But as the economy evolves, Iraq retains the ability to reconsider choices in the future. The story is not finished. Even if today's action is steady and controlled, this news environment will always attract strong opinion. People who invested in the dinar might feel anxious or hopeful depending on which voice they follow. But careful observers choose to look at real data, rising reserves, regulatory progress, and growing regional trade. These are markers of national improvements that matter even more than quick monetary shifts. As we continue reporting, we will track every new financial announcement, every reform milestone, and every central bank communication with focus and accuracy. We want viewers to be informed, not misled. There's a difference between being hopeful and being unrealistic, and we promise to help you navigate that difference with clarity and fairness. Above all, remember, Iraq's financial future is developing step by step. It is not a guessing game. Each statement from leadership is crafted to maintain stability and protect long-term national interests. Even when emotions rise online, professionals in Iraq remain steady in their messaging. Their goal is not excitement, it is durable economic success. Stay tuned because this topic is far from over. The relationship between Iraq's financial leaders and global dinar followers remains one of the most unique economic discussions in the world. Will exchange rate reform eventually happen? No one can say for certain, but as long as these debates continue, we will bring you balanced coverage and fact-based reporting. If you've watched this far, thank you for staying engaged. It proves how important the subject is to so many people around the world. Continue learning with us, support responsible reporting, and keep your expectations grounded in reality because real change happens over time, not overnight.